What's up, Trust Engine community, mortgage coach professionals? I've got Steve Brown back. I don't know, I think this is probably the fourth time I've interviewed you. How you
Oh,
doing,
at
Steve?
least, yeah.
At least, maybe 5 or 6. I still remember the first time I interviewed you, you were the first one where I ever heard of WACD, what Amazon can't do. I asked you, what should local referral-based lenders be doing? And you're like, WACD. So thank you for that, my friend.
Yeah, that's a pleasure. I actually got that from a good friend of mine, John Stein, because he worked in retail as a retail guy for all of his life. And he always said, retailers need to figure out WACD, and it applies many other industries.
Yeah, well, and I said if you're in mortgage and housing, put a Z in it for Zillow, WAZCD.
Yeah.
And you got to do what they can't do, and you also got to do what they can do, which I think is always an interesting proposition. So for anyone who hasn't seen my previous interviews with Steve, he is the Bald Futurist. So you go to baldfuturist.com. There you go. He was the former futurist for Intel. And he's just an all-around great guy. By the way, what have you been up to? Oh, by the way, he is also the author of The Innovation Ultimatum, which is an incredible book. What have you been doing the past couple of years?
So I took an assignment in London. So my British accent has been recharged by being around my people. And I was in London to work for DeepMind, which is Google's AI research company. So I managed their communications, marketing, public affairs for a year. And then I switched over to being their in-house futurist. So helping them think through the future of a breakthrough technology that they're working on. And I can't talk about any more than that.
All right. Well, so double secret, but guys, anybody who has been working on the inside of, what the future of AI looks like, I think can bring a lot of value to the mortgage industry right now. So whether you're a C-suite executive who is actually making decisions around your tech stack, whether you're mid-management in the mortgage industry who's actually getting loan officers and people to implement that technology, or you're a loan officer and you're using the technology to hopefully give your company a competitive advantage, I think there's a lot of value in this. So let's do the conversation like this. I want to summarize the 6 technologies that you called out in this that every industry needs to at least be aware of. And then I really want to focus on AI and data, for this community, because I think those are the things that are creating the most opportunity and also have the biggest risk if they don't implement. So would you mind just kind of sharing, kind of an overview of what you put in here and the 6 technologies you called out?
Yeah, the book's called The Innovation Ultimatum because the premise is if you don't innovate using these 6 technologies I talk about in the book, then you are at existential risk as an organization because your competitors will, and it will put you at a significant disadvantage. So unless you use these technologies and combine them in ways that allow you to create new offerings, that help you streamline operations, that help you be more productive, you're just not going to keep up. So that's the central premise of the book. The 6 technologies are AI, which we'll come back to. It happens to be the longest chapter in the book, and for a reason, because it is the most important of the 6. The other 5 can be used in combination with AI to deliver some impressive business results. So what are those other 5? First one is the Internet of Things, which is essentially sensors and putting intelligence into every object around you and creating smart objects and sensors and gathering data. The second one is autonomous machines. So robots, self-driving cars, drones, all of it. The third is next generation networks. I would probably bucket them as 5G networks that we're all pretty comfortable with now, and they're starting to continue to be built out around the world, and satellite networks that will enable us to essentially have a signal anywhere on Earth by the end of this decade. So be able to connect everything and everyone everywhere. Augmented and virtual reality, VR is still not taking off. I mean, it's fine for gamers and a few other training and simulation applications, but it's really augmented reality that the breakthrough will bring. That's where you put on a pair of magic glasses and it will guide you in the things that you need to do. So very powerful when combined with an AI assistant. So you can essentially put on a pair of glasses and the AI assistant and you have the best interface possible where it can show you what to do in real time. The technology is not there yet. for those glasses. Rumors are very strong that Apple will release something in June, and then they'll start to go off from there. So think about the Apple Watch. When it first came out, everybody was a little underwhelmed, and then it became something that everybody wanted and wears. That's kind of what we can expect there. So 5 years from now, augmented reality and AI combination will just be an amazing combo. Blockchain and distributed ledgers, really useful for automating some contract type of activities, and also for supply chain transparency. That's where it's ended up being most useful. As I wrote in my book, I think cryptocurrencies are kind of bullshit, and I was right. So NFTs, cryptocurrencies all collapsed, and maybe they have a small role to play here and there, but I've never been a big believer in them, and I'm still not. I think that's all 6. Did I get them all?
Yeah, you did.
Okay,
So I would really advocate for anyone that wants to be an innovator. Have you ever heard of Warren Buffett's 3 I's of how markets evolve? Have you ever heard of that one?
I've heard it mentioned. I couldn't tell you what the 3 I's are.
Well, I want to say what they are.
One's innovate.
And Warren calls it out in terms of how markets mature, and he says it always starts with the innovators, and next come the imitators, and next comes the idiots. And he's like, that's how it always goes up. And one of the things I've been saying from the stage in the mortgage industry, that in 2020, 2021, all 3 of those categories killed it. Like, did a lot of loans, rates for 40 years, they've gone down to the bottom. They went to 2, they went to 3, and we had 2 back-to-back $4 trillion markets. So I don't know if you know this, Steve, but literally 63% of all mortgages in America start with 2% or 3%. So it's like, it's wild. And then I think, this last year and a half, the idiots, or it's called the 3rd eye, they're either out of the business or they're really struggling. The imitators, the people that say, oh, my advice makes a difference, and they're not actually backing it up with innovation and technology, they're not doing well. And I think, this is a market where the innovators gain market share. And so I really want to, frame the rest of this conversation of, I want to help you guys be innovators. If you tune into our YouTube channel, if you are a customer of Trust Engine, we're dedicated to being an innovative technology company, and we're dedicated to educating you around how to be an innovator. So with that being the frame going forward, AI is here. I have personally upgraded to Chat GPT 4.0. Oh my God. Like, I knew it was coming, and you always felt like, wow, this is going to be valuable, but it's here. It's valuable. And I've actually changed my tone. I've always been saying technology isn't going to eliminate loan officers, but loan officers who master technology will, eliminate those who don't. But now I'm kind of like, well, AI is going to eliminate some loan officers, like it is going to reduce the headcount, but loan officers are AI augmented, leverage data, deliver advice. Well, there won't be loan officers by 2025. It's going to be these digitally AI augmented professionals. So what are your thoughts on that? Walk us through how you see the future, driven by AI.
Yeah, so it's probably worth backing up a little bit and just talking about what this technology is, what it can do, what it currently can't do, notice the word currently, and how we got here. So for a lot of people, it's taken them by surprise, even for some of us in the industry who've been watching this very closely. It was a little bit surprising that the capabilities of these AIs are as advanced as they are at this time frame. We thought it might be, a few more years. So how is it all? What's this breakthrough? There was a research paper published in 2017, so that's pretty recently in the grand scheme of things, about a technology called transformers. And when you hear about ChatGPT, the T in that is transformer technology. And it is a type of neural network capability that allows you to, when you're training the network, for it to have more attention. What I mean by that is when you are, it was originally for translating text. When you're translating language, you don't just do it word by word. If you know anything about another foreign language, then you know you have to look at the whole sentence, you have to look at the context of how words are used in that sentence, and that gives you ability to do a really great translation. If you just substitute words, it's really going to sound clunky. So it's the ability of an AI to look at language and look at it in context. And as these large language models, as they're known, have grown in size, the amount of what's called parameters that they have, which is the number of nodes in the neural network, and the amount of data that they're exposed to and trained on, it gives them this ability to have incredible attention. What that means is it's thinking about all of the things it's been trained in. And when you give it a prompt, so when you talk to one of these agents, it is known as a prompt. So that's your input to it. So you might ask it a question, summarize the top 5 compact luxury cars as rated by all of the major car magazines. It's using all that information and it's predicting what its answer should be based on all of that input. So it's using that attention and that understanding, kind of, I put that in quotes, of all of those inputs and all of its knowledge to then make up a response to you. So when ChatGPT is replying to you, it is essentially just predicting what the best next word is. And you think that that wouldn't give you very good results, but it turns out if you have this attention mechanism, if you train it on enough data, and then you do another step, which we can talk about in a minute, it gives you incredibly powerful results. And you get this, it's called emergence. So, we expected it might give us some clunky kind of responses, but it turns out if you train it with enough data and you train it long enough, you start to get these emergent properties where it can sound almost sentient. Now, it's not. It is simulated consciousness. It is not in any way conscious at all, because all the machine is doing is literally predicting what the next word should be in a flow. And it turns out it can write, very impressive paragraphs of information to help you. So that's how the technology works today. There's another technique that they're using called reinforcement learning with human feedback, RLHF. It's turned out that's what's made technology like GPT-4 much better than ChatGPT. So you initially train the AI on all of the stuff you can scrape from the internet. So as many, all the stuff from Twitter and Reddit and all of the books you can get your hands on, all the academic papers, jam it all into the AI. And it's still going to get things wrong. So you use this technique where you're using humans to rate the answers it's giving, and it learns from that too. So you're essentially giving it a digital cookie, a little reward every time it gets something right, and it might give you 2 answers, and you say, well, I like this one better. It learns from that. So with that combination of initial training and then this reinforcement learning with human feedback, that's how you're getting these incredible results with something like GPT-4. So that's the state of play today. If you haven't used these technologies, it's worth trying out. You will be surprised by how impressive they are. Even people in the industry are kind of gobsmacked at, wow, this is quite impressive. And where we go from here is we're heading to an era of AI assistance. So I think of it as the 4th era of computing. The first era was back in the 60s and 70s. We had room-sized computers, mainframes and mini computers, and they were used by a few people for doing, payroll and other clunky academic tasks and that sort of thing. Then came the PC and the internet, and that brought computing to billions of people, connected us all up, gave us email, gave us the World Wide Web, and that was a pretty big step in computing. Then in the 3rd era, we got the cloud, where it became very easy to stand up a business by using cloud capabilities. We all started using everybody else's computers to do our computing tasks, and the mobile era came. So the cloud and mobile era kind of came together, and I would call that the 3rd era of computing, where we truly personalized computers. We are now moving into the 4th era of computing, and I think it will be as profound for humanity as the previous 3 put together. And
Wow.
that is the era of AI assistants, where every one of us is going to get an incredibly capable AI assistant. If you think that GPT-4 is impressive, that's going to be, nothing compared to what we see coming in the next 5 years. An assistant that is able to help us with any task that we want, to remember the context of all the conversations we've had with our assistant in the past, and to help us with improving our creativity, our intuition, make us make high quality decisions, and to offload tasks that we don't want to do because they're boring or repetitive. So we are all going to we're going to gain superhuman skills and capabilities because we are going to be elevated and supported by an AI assistant. And that is a huge moment in human history. And to me, you can compare it to the mobile breakthrough with where we all got smartphones in our pockets, or the PC revolution in the 80s and 90s. I think this is bigger. This is more akin to us electrifying the world. And, I was going to say discovering electricity, but to harnessing electricity and bringing light into our homes, electrifying transportation networks, electrifying manufacturing plants, and so on. So think steam, electricity, AI.
Wow. Yeah, no, it is a exciting time as an innovator and as someone who's always looked for ways to leverage technology to improve the value that I could deliver to a consumer. I mean, that's always been like the theme to my career as a salesperson, the theme to my career as an entrepreneur. It's, how can technology actually improve the value of my service? And I founded Mortgage Coach on that premise, like, hey, my service is not just interest rates, it's the advice and the value I bring to a consumer to help them achieve wealth through real estate and achieve wealth through making loans. And, that was it, Mortgage Coach 1.0. And now, Trust Engine, we've got data, we're delivering advice. I mean, it is just so exciting for me. So anyone listening to this, I promise we will end with some tactical, like, hey, what AI should we be logged into? So Steve, be ready to let's close out with kind of a list of things that people should do. But I want to, did you by any chance listen to that interview between Lex Friedman and the founder of ChatGPT? Or not found, well, I guess he's the CEO and founder. Did you listen to that?
Sam Altman, of course, yeah.
I know I listened to it and I came away with some perspectives and some takeaways. I'd love to know what someone as well educated as you are and a futurist, what did you take away from that? Or what was a takeaway that you had that you think you should call out here for people?
Ooh, well, you have in that interview between Lex Friedman and Sam Altman, the founder and CEO of OpenAI, and OpenAI is the company that's behind ChatGPT, GPT-4. They just got a massive investment from Microsoft. They're going places, let's just put it that way, and are probably at the forefront of AI assistance and large language model development today. Now that could change, but today. So when those two people talk, they're two very bright boys, and it's interesting to follow along and see what are they thinking about, what are they talking about. What struck me most is, they said some brilliant things, and I encourage you all, if you have time, to listen to the podcast. It's great to spread over a couple of workouts. It's over 2 hours, so you have to invest some time. But it will enlighten you a lot on the field. What I took away from it, what struck me, was how much uncertainty there still is. These are thinkers at the front of their field, and they're still not really sure where this is going, how quickly things will be going, and what the path forward is. The jump from ChatGPT to GPT-4 and from GPT-3 before that, it wasn't some big profound leap and then, oh, we just need to do this and then it all gets better. There was that addition of reinforcement learning with human feedback, but Sam Altman talks about the fact that there were hundreds of little changes that they had to make. So we don't know. Nobody knows yet whether we've got to check to GPT-4 and this is where we hit a plateau, maybe forever, maybe just for now, or whether we can just go to GPT-5 and it will blow away GPT-4 and then 6 and 7, and then suddenly we get to artificial general intelligence. You know, there is a lot of debate, and this is something that Lex and Sam got into. You know, can we get there with the large language model approach that we have today, or do we need other things? Because the techniques we're using today still don't get us to artificial general intelligence. It can't really reason. It has some significant shortcomings, and we're not sure how to get there. So that was my big takeaway, is we are so on the bleeding edge of this that even well-informed people in the industry are not quite sure what the time frame looks like. But things are looking like we are off to a very rapid race, but we don't know.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the interview. I mean, I always love listening to Lex. You know, the humility, the brain power they have, but the humility that they have at the same time just reinforces that true intelligence is not believing everything you think, and always being curious about where things are going. So I do recommend anyone that wants to be an innovator in whatever industry you're in, that you listen to that. So I got two questions before we get into these tactical advice. I mean, you came from Intel, so you're very familiar with Moore's law. Is Moore's law old school? Like it's dated, and if so, you know, how do you think people who are innovators should look at it? Because when I interviewed you, you know, we talked about, if Moore's law is right, over the next 2 years, we're going to see 10 years of innovation. So think what things were like 10 years ago, and we're going to see 10 years of innovation in 2 more years. So what's your thought on Moore's law now?
Well, I mean, Gordon's brilliant observation, and, you know, Gordon left us last month, the age of 93. I had the great pleasure of meeting him a few times. You know, what he observed was that technology innovations are exponential, and that he observed it in the form of the number of transistors that could go on a chip, which would double. Initially, he thought every year, and then he revised that to every 2 years. What he put his finger on is the exponential nature of technology development. And that is applied not only with Moore's law, but in all sorts of other fields. You know, you look at the speed that graphics processors were moving. They had their own equivalent of Moore's law, but it was based around a 9-month time frame. I think we're seeing something similar. And if you plot the AIs that we've been creating as a species, you know, back to 1997 with Deep Blue beating Garry Kasparov at chess, you know, that was a form of AI. And then you sort of play that clock forward, you know, we have this exponential curve that we're on, and Moore's law applies. It's just not about transistor density, although that is continuing as an underlying trend, but the technologies that we're building on top of them, the sophistication of these models, the size of these models, the amount of data they can be trained upon, is proceeding in an exponential fashion.
Yeah, and so kind of netting it out to make sure I heard it right. So Moore's law was, you know, 10 years of innovation. Well, what took 50 years is going to take 10. And the premise of Moore's law of exponentialism is as right as ever. It's just that now it might be, you know, 50 years of innovation in 5 years. You know, it's getting faster, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, think about the headlines that we've seen in the last 6 months. I mean, the breakthroughs are coming almost every week. There's something that is just mind-blowing. So, you know, we're at that pace now where, you know, you have to pay attention really close to keep up, or talk to someone like me whose job is to do that. So
here's another kind of big picture question. So I mean, at Trust Engine, we are, you know, we're focused. First of all, the mission is to help all borrowers achieve financial freedom. You know, we think that buying a home is part of the American dream, but home ownership and financial freedom together, that is really the American dream. And we're trying to really reinvent lending so that a database, you know, a lender can have a database, and between all the exterior data that we have, you know, credit, equity, lifestyle events, we can really optimize their debt. And so the machine can do that. and then we could present it to the consumer in a way that like, hey, it's time to get a loan. Like, and so instead of waiting for consumers to call and say, hey, should I do a loan? We can really predict who needs a loan, and then we can educate them on that. And so it turn databases into dollars. So my question is this, when I first asked you, like, these are my clients, this is the service I bring, I want to help them win, what advice do you have for them? And again, when I asked you the first time, you said WACD. Do you have any edits, to local referral-based lenders? And that also goes for banks and credit unions.
Yeah.
Any advice you have for them to thrive in the future?
So I would say, think about it this way. We're moving to an era where artificial intelligence will allow a lot of tasks to be automated. Now, if your job function has, if you look at the number of tasks that an individual person does, if, let's say, 70% of those tasks or more can be automated by an AI, your job's probably going to go away. If less than, let's say, 40% can be automated, then you're in a pretty sweet spot, because what you can do is now turbocharge your capabilities by offloading those tasks to an AI, and then using an AI to help you, be better at the tasks that are still human tasks. So what that means is, we're moving to a point where there are going to be big decisions made. Is our job functions something that are done by AIs, or something that are done by humans supported by AIs? And I think the key thing to know here is, in the name of your company, trust. People like to deal with people. So instead of what Amazon can't do, let's talk about what AIs can't do. And that's look you in the eye over a table, at least today. So if you want to offer personal service, which is about a handshake, it's about trust, it's about eye contact, it's about the human touch, it's about empathy, spending time with a client, understanding them, and all the little intricacies, all things that humans do really well. That's how you build a business where you're using AI to help you be the best loan officer you can be, give you all of the tricks, all the support you need to provide your human client, you're a human-to-human relationship, help them with the best information, the best insight, the best capabilities you can, based on having an amazing assistant that happens to be a machine, make you look good and help you have that really good relationship. So that would be my tip, and that's the way I'm thinking about it now. And for companies that don't try and build these human machine partnerships to elevate their talent, elevate the loan officers to be super loan officers, with incredible intuition and insight and capabilities, they risk just being bulldozed by the next tier down of capabilities, which will be price advantageous, let's say, which is going to be an AI only service. So the luxury, the VIP treatment is going to be human supported by AI, and that's the niche that everybody, I don't say niche, that's the segment that everybody needs to aim for, and aim for quickly.
So I recently interviewed a chief strategy officer. She's one of our clients. Her name is Catherine Campbell. And she was actually in the audience at Mortgage Innovation. It was called the Digital Mortgage event that you were a speaker at. She actually referenced you. And she had, I asked her a similar, like, what advice do you have for lenders and loan officers? And she said, we're moving into this new era, and I want to hear, and she had a formula for it. She's like, it used to be the IQ. Like, she goes, I remember, I used to get in interviews, my degree mattered more in the past. The grades, my grades mattered, my quote unquote IQ matters. And she goes, I think this new era, she goes, first of all, EQ, kind of speaking to your fact that, humans like humans, and your ability to connect with a human being, build trust as a human being. It's one of the reasons why we named the company Trust Engine. And then she called it AQ. I actually hadn't heard of the AQ, equals your new IQ, and that AQ is your adaptability as a human being. And it kind of speaks to what you said, like, to be able to, leverage your CRM, leverage AI. Your AQ is the future. So what do you think about that? EQ plus AQ really is what the challenge is for every loan officer, for every CEO, to raise the AQ of their organization.
So I thought when you said AQ, it was going to be your AI assistant's Q.
Well, remember, human beings got to use the AI. Like there's people that haven't logged into it. So
well,
go ahead.
Anybody that's on a team, most loan officers have a supportive team that helps them, or they're in a company that has a support network of people that help them. You're just adding somebody new to the team that happens to be a machine, but they're going to be a key component because AIs can do things that humans cannot. They can absorb, incredible numbers of data points and process them and come to conclusions and deliver insights that humans cannot see. So, it's almost like having, an oracle as an assistant that can help you see things that you otherwise wouldn't, and gives you a competitive advantage or gives you a little extra insight that can help you make a better decision, or that helps you perhaps give a better, high quality advice to a client.
So let's close out with just getting a list. Our audience are mortgage professionals. We're turning loan officers into mortgage advisors. And mortgage advisors give advice.
Yeah.
They build brands on social media, so they're creating content. What are some AI companies that when you think of a list of AIs that anyone that wants to be an innovator, give us a list of some things that we should be looking at, and just a brief description why. Like, check this out, why?
Yeah, so I don't know about the mortgage industry yet, specifically, but let me give you some examples. So I think what we'll see is a lot of innovation being built on top of these models that are coming out of the big research companies. So OpenAI, DeepMind, Google, Anthropic is looking like they're going to have something interesting with their Claude model. I think what we'll see next, and OpenAI is already doing this, they're building an API for other developers to build on top of that capability. So they've already opened it up to a few select partners like Expedia in the travel business. So you'll be able to chat to Expedia and have it help you in a much more conversational way. They're working with the Khan Academy to create, interactive teaching modules. And they're also working with this company, which is sort of closer to the mortgage business, but not there yet, which is Harvey.ai. They're still in stealth, but Harvey has already been taken up by one of the biggest law firms in the world, and Pricewaterhouse is putting money into their platform. It's built on top of ChatGPT, and it is a legal assistant. And it understands legal text, it understands US law. So you can, for example, pull in a contract and say to Harvey, hey, does this have provision in it for California employment law? And it will tell you, oh yeah, it does. And here's the section. And let me summarize what it says for you. Or you can say, well, okay, it doesn't have provision for the California law. Can you insert a section? And it knows how to do that because it will generate that language and show you, and you look it over and go, yep, that looks fine. So imagine that capability. Imagine the next generation of tool companies who are going to create tools specifically for the mortgage industry, built on top of GPT-4 or Bard from Google, or whatever, Lambda from Google. These large language models with an API where some vendor is building a tool now specifically for industries, the healthcare industry, the mortgage industry, the legal industry, and so on. So there aren't, that I'm aware of, there may already be some, and I'm sure there are plenty of startups who are already working on this stuff, but there will be tools that people can use to help them in that regard. And that's going to be the next big race for apps and services, is to build on top of these large language model capabilities and harness them as they get better and better over time.
Yeah, no, we're deeply committed to leveraging AI, to, improve our data and to help loan officers, deliver better advice experiences to consumers. What are some other, I know when you and I were prepping, for this call, you mentioned Jasper. What are some just other technologies that people that want to, I know there's things out there that will create images. I think, I heard in that interview that models are not going to be a thing in the future because you can just make an AI generated image. What are some things that loan officers, mortgage executives can go in and log it in, free tools or very inexpensive tools? What are some?
So, I mean, just to get a feel for this stuff, right? So you understand what the capabilities are now, and you can start to project, oh my God, this is what's coming and fast. Certainly play with ChatGPT. If you have a Mac, if you have a Macintosh, a lot of people do, there's a free app you can download, or actually you can pay whatever you want for it. It recommends, I think, €7, but you can pay whatever you want, whatever you think it's worth. Mac GPT, and it gives you a front-end app that allows you to play with ChatGPT on your Mac. So start there. It's really fun, and you can actually use it for some interesting things. There are companies like Copy.ai and Jasper. Jasper and Copy.ai, they both specialize, and there are a number of others in this realm. They specialize in creating copy. So for blogs, for advertising copy, for email blasts, that sort of thing, it'll write them for you. And you just tell it what you're looking for, give it some inputs, and then it squirts out the other end and it's done. And you'll be surprised, it's 95% of the way there. And it may actually make your writing and your output better. So it certainly will make your marketing department more efficient, allow them to create more content, and may even increase the quality. So there was a study done by MIT. It was released back on March the 2nd. And I can't remember the title of the report, but essentially they were looking at people using ChatGPT and seeing if it was increasing their productivity. And what they found was it was boosting people's productivity by 40% and increasing the quality of their output by 20% or more. Now, that's a small study, not peer-reviewed yet, but it gives us an indicator of where this is going. So you should definitely be looking at these tools. Try ChatGPT, try Bard. That is in, I think it's in limited release right now. So you have to sign up to join the beta test. But I signed up and I got it within a week. So you can try Bard as well, which is Google's response to ChatGPT. Google's taking a more cautious approach, which is why they're probably a little bit behind, I would say, versus where OpenAI is. But don't bet against DeepMind and Google. They'll come roaring back. I'm pretty sure of that. Other things you might want to try, and it's really fun. I was visiting some artist friends a few weeks ago, and they have a studio in their house, and we decided, let's go do some painting together. And so my idea was, well, let's use AI to generate some images and use those as inspiration for our paintings. And so we went on to Midjourney. Midjourney is a little tricky to use, but it is the best of the image generators. So midjourney.com, again, I think you have to sign up to become a beta tester. You have to use it through a chat platform called Discord, which makes it a little bit of a barrier, but you can just watch any number of YouTube videos. It'll show you how to do it. You will get incredible images out of it. One here, actually. I decided I wanted to paint a robot that was DJing, and this is the image that it created for me.
That is amazing.
So Midjourney is the best of them. Their latest version 5 just came out a couple of weeks ago. It's mind-blowing. It will create visual images that look like photographs, and it'll create images of whatever you want just by typing in a prompt. If you want something a little easier to use, there's Stable Diffusion. There are, crap, it'll come to me. By the end of this, I'll let you know. But there is a number of these image generators you can try. If you just Google, free AI image generators, a list will come up and you're off to the races. Have fun with them. Some of the free ones are, I'll warn you, don't give you the best quality results. So don't judge them. Don't judge the field of technology by what some of the free ones offer you. When you go on Midjourney or Stable Diffusion, I think you get, Like with Midjourney, you get 50 free goes before they start charging you. So have a blast. It is the most fun you'll have in a long while.
Wow, what a great time to be alive. I mean, we are going through a digital revolution, everyone, and there are going to be the innovators. I'm focused on that. You know, they're going to be the imitators. They're going to be the idiots. Just quoting Warren Buffett there. So I hope anybody that tunes into this Trust Engine YouTube channel, you know, this Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, you innovate with us. So this is a mastermind. If there are some tools that you think we should all be looking at together, use chat down below. Let us know what you're following, what you're doing. Also, I started using Jasper a little over a year ago. I found it very valuable. I still find it valuable. I'll put a link to sign up. I'm actually like in their influencer program. So use my link down below. I think you get like a free 15 days or a free month of Jasper. Check it out. Any closing thoughts, my friend? You know, I want to be respectful of your time. Anything that you think innovators in the lending industry need to think about? Also, a lot of realtors listen to our content. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are scared by this stuff. So let's just acknowledge that. You know, we are creating these very powerful technologies. You know, do we need to spend time worrying about Terminator and it killing us all? Okay, let's let a few people think about that, but people are worried about it. Is it going to take away my job? Is it going to transform the way we do things? It is going to change the way everything is done. It is going to change the way that society operates, possibly. It is also going to give us incredible breakthroughs that help us to improve the way we live, could improve the quality of life for all of us on Earth. So it is a very exciting time, but it's also a bit bewildering. So my advice to people is don't panic. You know, number one, don't panic. Number two, be curious. You know, learn about this stuff. Be open-minded. Go try this stuff out. Get comfortable with it. Because probably the number one skill every worker will need in the 21st century now is the ability to work well with an AI, to get the most out of these platforms. There's this whole notion of prompt engineering now, where you learn how to give the best prompts to get the best results out of these AIs. And that takes practice. So be curious, explore, practice, learn, think forward, and be open. You know, you have to enter this world of possibility thinking, where you're not thinking, well, how could I do exactly what I've been doing in the past, just slightly different? But be open to, if I was building a business from scratch and now had these capabilities, how would I completely re-engineer what I do, change my workflows to embrace this technology and give the very best support I can to my customers? And if you have that right attitude, you keep your eyes open, you're going to be wildly successful, and AI will be one of the best things that ever happened to you and not something to be afraid of. You know, this is akin to every business in around the 2000s suddenly had to have a .com, and we all had to learn about URLs and, you know, all of the things that came with the internet. This is as big as that or bigger. So get smart on it, and you know, there's a learning curve, but you'll have a blast.
So guys, I have seen Steve on stage multiple times. He is an incredible speaker. I always admire your slides. He has a way of just taking complex concepts and really educating. So, you know, for all you innovators.
They're pretty too. I try and make them pretty too.
You do. They're really pretty. You're an incredible presenter, and your slides are just, you know, absolute world class. So, you know, forward this to your leadership team. If you guys are doing events, this is a man that I recommend you have at your events right now as we go through this. It's not the digital transformation now, it's the AI transformation. It's a fourth era in technology in the world. So great guy to have. Obviously, you could go to Amazon and get his book. His website is thebaldfuturist.com.
No, just baldfuturist.com.
Oh, so not the.
No, we
well,
kept it
to
simple.
me, you're
get
the.
You there, but you know.
To me, you're the bald futurist.
The one and only, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you should go out and get that, the bald futurist. But guys, just
I have that too. Yeah, don't worry.
Okay, so it'll all go there. All right, Steve. Well, hey man, I hope I miss not living in Portland and just getting to meet up for a beer or coffee. But if you're in Southern California, I would love to see you. and next time in Portland, I'll look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, great to see you, bud. It was really fun.
All right. Take care, everybody. If you have not already, make sure you subscribe to the Trust Engine YouTube channel. That's our new YouTube channel, which is Modern Leadership for Lenders. And we've got over 21,000 subscribers, but if you haven't subscribed to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, that's Netflix for loan officers. This is a wrap. Take care, everybody.